Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and welcome to beautiful Havana, Cuba. We're at Malecon 663, right here on the beautiful, iconic Malecon in Havana with the Morro in the background, the sea behind us. And I'm here with someone that is very important in the world of Cuban cigars, Dominique Gyselinck from Belgium, of Dominique London, Europe's largest retailer of Cuban cigars with over 30 stores, 10 of which are La Casa del Habanos. I had the privilege of your invitation to the first event of the entire week, the dinner party you threw on Sunday here in Havana, which was easily the best party of the week. Beautiful food, great company, and even better cigars. So Dominique, thank you for taking some time. And of course, being here in Havana, being able to sit down with people that are passionate about Cuban cigars, to smoke them in such a beautiful vista. So if we're going to sit here in Havana, spending a little bit of time together, we'd be remiss to do it without first lighting
a nice Cuban cigar.
Of course, I mean it would be improper to smoke anything else here.
Yeah.
So let's first talk about what it is that you brought.
I brought one of my favorites. It's a Trinidad Funtadores. And in fact, Trinidad is one of the youngest brands in Cuba. So like Cuba and Trinidad.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought this Funtadores because I like the module. And it's very elegant,
yes.
And though it has a lot of character. Mm-hmm. I think with the years, my first cigars were all Robustos. But with the years, of course, you look and you are looking for something more. And when you light a cigar and do the degustation of the cigar, there must be rock and roll, I say,
yes.
Always. Because nothing is so boring than a cigar who is very flat and linear. I'm always looking for something more behind it.
Behind it, yes.
Yes.
Well, I mean, this is one of the things I love so much about Cuban cigars, and especially, long filler Cuban cigars,
Mm-hmm.
is that evolution, is that, possibility for surprise.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, at the welcome evening on Monday, they had the Romeo and Juliet Amantes, which, generally Romeo and Juliet I find is a very light-bodied cigar. But the Amantes, I mean, was just exploding with flavor and complexity that I think surprised everyone that evening.
Yeah. Romeo and Juliet are normally, if we look to the brand, it's very soft, it's very open to everyone. And certainly for people who starts to discovering the Cuban cigars. But in Romeo and Julieta, you have also the Cazadores,
mm-hmm.
who is a nice cigar and surprised me each time because there is a lot of pepper and cedar in it. And
mm-hmm.
it's totally different than the other Romeo and Julieta. So I think with Amantes, they were looking also to have this little bit more of, salsa touch.
Yeah, it was so surprising in the most pleasant of ways, and in some ways, the most Cuban of ways.
Yeah.
Because anyone that travels to this country, I think, soon learns that it is just ripe with surprise.
Yeah, you fall in love with this country. If you see the history, all those buildings, you see the people, the cars, and even the nature who is there, the beautiful ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And today there is a lot of wind, but it's a beautiful island and the people are so nice.
Yeah.
And this whole island is history.
Really, absolutely.
History.
Well, don't let me be rude. I'll let you cut. I'm smoking a cigar that I received from a good friend of yours that I had the pleasure of joining you for dinner last night.
Yeah.
Romeo and Julieta Edition Limitada from 2013. And
you're spoiled.
I mean, an absolutely, incredible cigar. And again, one of the things that I think is a testament to Cuban cigar culture is, of course, the spirit of sharing.
Yeah.
Right? And you've never met two smokers of Cuban cigars that, whenever they meet, don't almost immediately start exchanging sticks. Because, as a good friend of mine once said, the greatest luxury in life is sharing one's passions with others. And I want to use that for kind of the basis of this conversation, because one of the things that I've appreciated about you, Dominique, is you know, how, yes, you know, you have a very large and significant network of retail stores in Europe. And it would be very easy to think of you as a strictly a businesswoman.
Yeah.
But really, what brought you into this was, in fact, a very authentic passion for cigars, but more specifically, Cuban cigars. How is it that you first fell in love with Cuban cigars, and how did that journey lead you to Dominique London?
Well, the story begins 23 years ago, and I never touched cigarettes because I didn't smoke at that time, even when I was young. I was already working in the luxury business, so I was in Cross pants.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a luxury brand in pants, of course. And I went to a customer of mine who was selling Dupont, Mont Blanc pants. And also, the lady has a tiny little humidor in her shop with Cuban cigars.
Mhm.
And each time I crossed that humidor, I said to Monique, Monique, tell me all about this because the cigars are always smiling to me. And so one fine day she said, you know what, I will teach you how to smoke and how to light and how to cut a cigar. But I never smoked in my life.
Mm.
So she gave me 3 cigars, one Hoyo de Monterrey Epicure number 2,
Okay.
one Punch the Punch, and one Ramon Alones Specially Select. So there was the 3 cigars she selected for me, and she said, look, that you will taste this weekend, and you will come back to me next week, and you will tell me all about it.
Mm.
So me home with the 3 cigars, and I came home, and I said to Frederick, look, Frederick, we're going to smoke cigars. And he was looking at me.
You're crazy.
And he said, are you drunk? And I said, no, we will enjoy those cigars that Monique gave me.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the cigars and we did the discovery cigars, and it was so good and so nice. And I said, next week I go back to Monique and I will want to more, and I want to taste more because such nice product.
Yeah.
So up the week after, me up to Monique, and I brought other cigars with me. So let's make a long story short. And 6 months later, I came home and I said to Frederick, I want to start a cigar business, a shop. And he said, are you mad? Are you crazy? I said, no. You know what? I have the money to start. I will open up my shop and I don't need you. So it was like, and everybody said, oh, you crazy, Dominique. What tobacco and cigars. And I said, no, I will do this.
And what year is this?
And that was in 2003.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is in Belgium.
And this is in Belgium. Yeah. And I started my first shop. And I had also Mont Blanc, Dupont, Cartier. And of course, I had a bigger humidor already.
Than Monique.
Than Monique in Cuban cigars. Because Monique was already a lady who will retire. So I was not somebody who would take her business, you know. She was, a couple of years later, 2 years later, she stopped. So, and the story there starts with the shop. And it was lovely because there already I saw other people, the community of cigar lovers. They come, they talk about cigars, they share their passion, even with somebody who is in the store. And I was listening and learning a lot, of course. And I said, I will do a second shop near the seaside in Belgium, in Knokke.
Okay.
So, 4 months later, boom, another shop. And it was so lovely at that time. And then I was realizing, because I love to talk with people and to share. And I said, I must more and more of those cigars. So I came to Cuba several times because I love to travel. I love to discover other cultures, other people, to talk, to to see how I also love food.
Mhm.
So I'm a very foodie. And I love to go everywhere in the world and to see how people are eating and living, and the culture is very important. So I was already in Cuba, but at that time, in the beginning of the shops, I came here to learn.
Mhm.
And I was in Vina del Rio and learning, and here in Havana, and talking and do the degustations. It's very important.
Yeah.
And then in 2011, I said to Frederick, I want to have a Casa del Habano. He said, are you crazy? You crazy woman? They're always wanting more and then see. I wanted to rule the world in cigars. So then we opened up a first Casa del Habano in Knokke.
Okay.
And a second one in Ghent.
Mm.
And then each year I opened up a store.
Mm.
And in 2016, I became a nombre de Habano, of course.
One of the few females. I mean, I think it's, you know, in the category of business, it's really you and Gemma Freeman.
Yeah, she as a distributor.
Yeah.
And me, of course, as a retailer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very proud, because if I see all the people who owns this title before me and after me, they're all people who are retiring or who are end of the career.
Yeah.
And so I was one of the youngest, together with Gemma, of course, to own this title. And the year after, I became the golden band for Davidoff.
Mm.
And last year I became, I had the reward for Plasencia. So I collect now a reward.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's a real testament to, you know, the impact that you've had on cigar culture, right? I mean, the Habanos of the Year award, I mean, in many ways, I think misstates the gravitas of that that award. I mean, it's really a lifetime achievement award. It's not simply what you did this last year, because that's completely insufficient, you know, for that award. And then of course Davidoff, you know, then very next year, you know, getting the equivalent, you know, but within New World cigars.
Yeah.
I think speaks to the significance of Dominique London. And one of the things that I find interesting right now is that, you know, if we look at the history, the modern history of Cuban cigars, you know, in the 1990s, you know, we had the formation of Habanos S.A., which was a real pivotal moment in the history of modern cigars, because it gave a very professional kind of operating structure to the Cuban cigar business. And then in the early 2000s, we had, the growth of regional distributors really helping to push the Habanos portfolio to really all of the corners of the earth, right? And then right now, I think that we're in a really interesting beginning third phase where we see retail groups like Dominique London committed to really elevating the retail experience to match that of the product. And I think Dominique London, one of the things that I've appreciated about your stores is the focus on the experience.
Yeah,
right.
It's very important.
You know, it's not just a small little, you know, tabletop, you know, countertop humidor with a few cigars. It really articulates the entire scope of Cuban cigars, and in many ways honors the work of the Cubans by presenting them in a retail environment that is beautiful. Mm. Has that always been kind of a part of the plan?
Yeah, when I opened up my first shop, I don't want it a shop who is brown, dark, dusty, you know, a kind of old man thing.
Yeah.
I think a cigar is open for everyone, for every age, for everybody, male, female, young, old, whatever. And I wanted to spread the word.
Yeah.
And I put in our shops, it's always a very open shop that I create, because I designed myself the shops. And I wanted to feel the people, look, you're welcome, come in, discover, enjoy. And there are pieces of art. Each cigar is a piece of art with a lot of love and a lot of work inside.
Yeah.
And when people come into a store, I don't want that the people feel like I must buy something. that's not the goal for me.
Mhm.
For me, the goal is come and I will guide you to make the right choice for the cigars who fits to you. Because it's very important that the cigars fits to you
Yeah.
and not, you know?
Yeah.
There are people who are always buying brands, you know, a Cohiba. Did you see I have a Cohiba? Or, that's not the purpose. I think it's very important to look. It's like a journey
Mhm.
to look which kind of brand, which kind of module, which kind of cepa fits to you.
Yeah.
Because then you can enjoy the full work and art work of a cigar.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important to allow the cigars to speak to you.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, one of the things that I've been struck about my time here in Cuba, which compared to you is just a short, I mean, I'm at the beginning of my journey,
Yeah.
you know, here. And I truly hope that my time in Cuba is as long lived as yours has been, because it's impossible not to fall in love with this country and its people. But you see the passion, the pride, and the, you know, the dignity that everyone from the farmer to the rollers at every point of the process puts into this product.
Yeah.
They do it with pride because they know that the Cuban cigar is representing Cuba to the rest of the world. And they do it with the pride with which they have for their country and their culture. And it somehow is imbued in every cigar, a little piece of every hand that touches a cigar, that somehow allows the cigar to be so much greater than the sum of its parts. I mean, it truly transcends any one kind of point of influence.
Did you know, Kirby, that to roll a cigar already, there are 120 handlings. So it's all in your fingertips.
Yeah.
The people here they put it through their fingertips into the cigar.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been in love with cigars. I mean, you know, for me, part of my love is the nostalgia of a bygone era, of being able to sit down with someone,
To relax and enjoy.
and enjoy a great conversation. It's a commitment to time.
It's opened up also conversations. And cigars is a community. When people are around a cigar, then people talk easily. It's like a man with a dog you talk to. It's the same with the cigar.
Yeah.
It's something, people are they're telling, what did you like? Do you have a collection? What are you looking into the cigar? What are you looking for in this cigar? And then you see, and people start a conversation and they're so interesting. I always say also a cigar, we don't smoke a cigar. We do the degustation of the cigar because we are not dealing with cigarettes here.
Yeah.
It's a totally different world.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that the words that we choose to describe what it is we love so much about Cuban cigars are important, because people do travel with the background of cigarette smoking.
Yeah, you're smoking.
And
that's not true.
Smoking a cigar couldn't be any more different than smoking a cigarette.
Like drinking wine.
Yeah.
If you're thirsty, you don't open up a bottle of wine and you drink like, I'm thirsty. Then you take a glass of water.
Yeah.
But wine, you do also the degustation of it. And it's the same with a nice cigar.
Yeah.
You take your time and you must be calm to discover this cigar.
Absolutely.
And not be stressed and quick. And that's not the purpose from the cigar.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What are some of your favorite cigars? I mean, you know, as you look at, you know, someone that's, you know, very much a part of this Cuban cigar kind of industry, right? You have access to incredible cigars. I mean, I'd love to see your personal
I have
humidor,
a beautiful collection.
You know, much less the humidors that I've already seen in your shops. But, you know, what are some cigars that you just love?
Well, let's say the Cohiba Siglo VI.
Okay.
It's Grand Robusto. Why do I love the cigar? Because this cigar is the king of the cigars for me. I cannot say queen. It's a king of the cigars. And because when you discover the cigar, there's a little bit of sweetness inside. A little bit, a touch of creamy sweetness. And it's a nice cigar after dinner to enjoy because it makes like a dessert for me.
Yeah.
And then I have another cigar that I love a lot, and I think it's because it was one of my first cigars, is the Ramon Alone Specially Select, who is a Robusto,
Yeah.
a classic one.
Yeah.
But the cigar has something like, I love to cook. And for me, putting the nice pepper and salt and all the spices that you can put into the kitchen, it's the same into a Specially Select. There is a lot of, spiciness inside and herbal touches. And it's quite a very interesting cigar. And then during the years, I start to love Funtadores or Lanceros. So that's the opposite of a Robusto, of course. But it's not because it's elegant, but there is more to discover. When the cepo is a little bit smaller, you have more rock and roll going on.
Yeah.
And that's why now I choose, when I see a Monte Carlo, Poralagnaga, for example, the Funtadores, I love. So depending also if you're outside, inside, then you choose your cigar, depending the day and your mood as well.
What about the Liguito #1, the Cohiba Lancero?
There is a lot of people who loves, for example, Behique, but I'm not so a lover of Behique. But it's personal. And a cigar is something, it's in your mouth. And it's very personal. And people can love, Cohiba and Behique and so on. No, me, I'm looking for more explosions.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I think it's one of the things that's so unique to Cuban cigars. I mean, of course, in New World cigars, you have, a magnitude of 10 times more.
But they are young.
Well, they're young, they're different. I mean, they're completely different.
They're too young.
But if you look at single origin, right, at Cuba, I mean, there's something like, 30 brands, 300 references. I mean, there is literally something for everyone in every moment. And one of the things
for every budget.
Yes, and for every budget too.
Because people are always asking me, it's very expensive, it's for the rich people. No, it's not like this. You have, for everybody, you have a good cigar at each level. Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be easy for someone that's maybe just looking from afar to think that cigar smoking, dressed elegantly in a beautiful place, could be pretentious.
Yeah.
But I think it couldn't be any farther from the truth because, a cigar is the great equalizer. Over a cigar, it doesn't matter if you are a king or a taxi cab driver, rich or poor, everyone comes down to the same level. And it's just part of this spirit of tobacco, right? Being a sacred plant. There really is something almost spiritual about this tobacco when enjoyed properly. And there is no more pure expression of tobacco than a hand-rolled Cuban cigar.
I totally agree with you.
The other thing I find interesting is, again, you speak of cigars at the right moment. One of the things I like to do is whenever I travel, I'll travel with a small little travel humidor of a bunch of different kinds of cigars because you never know the right cigar for the moment.
Yeah.
Right? You show up, I didn't know what I was going to smoke right now. I kind of pulled my cigars out and I let them speak to me. And this beautiful Romeo and Juliet edition limitada, from our dinner last night, jumped out and said, this is the one for the moment. Well, I have to ask, I mean, as a Habanos of the Year, one of the great privileges conveyed by that award is, of course, the opportunity to select a box of cigars from Habanos every year.
Yeah.
And it's always very interesting to me to ask people what it is that they select, because I think it speaks in many ways to, their preferences and their passion. And so for you, what was your choice in cigar that every year you're receiving the box?
What do you think?
I don't know. It's impossible even to guess.
Yeah? Well, I will tell you my secret. It's a Cohiba Siglo VI. Because it's the king of the cigars.
That's interesting. That's fascinating because, You know, last night we were at dinner, I asked the same question to Max Gutman, right? Max is my cigar hero. His Conde 54 was the moment that an interest in cigars transformed into a passion for cigars. And of course, Max is a massive fan of the Trinidad Fundadores, and I would have expected his cigar to have been the Fundadores. But no, it is in fact the Cohiba Siglo 6.
Yeah, we are two of a kind.
Yeah. Well, I think in some ways it speaks to that cigar, right? I mean, as we travel, right, you know, we meet people, and we meet people that we admire, right? We look up to, and that we respect, you know, for their work. And over time, you know, sometimes certain kind of patterns or commonalities kind of rise. And amongst the Hombre Habanos, I think one of the threads that connects many of them is, in fact, this love for the Siglo 6.
Yeah, the shape of the cigar, the look of the cigar, the taste of the cigar is already unique.
Yeah.
And it's also a cigar that you don't have to work on.
Well,
It's so comfortable to smoke it. Here you must work.
yeah.
The shape is thin, so you must work with
Mhm.
it. And the Siglo 6 is more like you sit down, you relax, and you enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, I've only smoked a few, right?
Yeah.
And I just had the privilege of acquiring my first box of my humidor. Haven't touched it, right? Sit there and age, and
Yeah.
hopefully once it's in the company of many more Siglo 6s, I begin smoking from it. But the Siglo 6 strikes me as such a, as you said, regal cigar. I think describing it as the king of cigars
It's
is
the king.
this,
Sure.
you know, hitting the nail on the head, because there is a presence to it, and there is an abundance, right? I mean, it is the thickest of the Siglo ring gauges. The delivery and volume of smoke is extraordinary, but it is not overwhelming.
No, because I told you already, for me, a Siglo 6, the shape Sepo, it gives you a lot of oxygen. So you have this good drawing,
Mm-hmm.
and then it comes into your mouth. And then the first notes that you have, it's that little sweetness, but it's like very delicate coming in,
Mm-hmm.
and it's creamy at the
Yes.
same time.
Yes.
And then the cedarwood comes up with the creaminess. Yeah, it gives you something in your mouth who is very, it's like an explosion then,
Mhm.
but not like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's not pepper in your face.
no, it's very delicate, very elegant.
Mhm.
And I love a Siglo 6 because after dinner, you know, you have already had dinner,
Mhm.
so you might have a lot of things.
So I often say I prefer to smoke my dessert.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who are smoking. You know, in the morning, if you in the morning, you take a coffee, and you want to smoke a nice little cigar,
Mhm.
then I would say take a Siglo 1 or something, a little Corona.
Yeah. Or learn your Monte Carlo.
Yeah. And then after dinner, you can go, you know, more
Yeah.
into the more rock and roll
Yeah.
things. But before dinner, maybe you have the time to take I don't know, a rum, and then you take a Monte Cristo number 5,
Mhm.
who is a kind of there is a little touch of soul, like here on this beautiful Malecon. You have this. If you taste your lips, you have the saltiness of the sea who is there, and I think this Monte Cristo number 5 reflects this. So it's nice when you have your aperitif, let's say,
Mhm.
you have the Monte Cristo number 5, and then afterwards you'll number 6. Then you had the whole dessert, the whole
Yeah.
menu in
Yeah.
cigars. And at night time, you can also have something sweet and very delicate, I
Yeah.
think.
Do you have a favorite place to smoke?
Oh yes, in my garden, I have a beautiful garden next to the river,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to be on my terrace at the end of the day, and I cook always. And after dinner, I light up a cigar, and I'm reflecting the day, what I had done, what I must do tomorrow, And then, you know, you have the time to oversee your life, let's say,
Absolutely.
and to have a conversation with your partner, to talk to each other, because it's very important to talk as well.
Yeah.
And with the cigar, you can do this.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, sitting and looking at the television.
Yeah. What's really great that you and Frederick share the same passion for cigars, right?
That's
and
something.
to see you two work together, you know, really, you know, it is in many ways such a perfect complement. I mean, you have the background and the product and the passion, you know, kind of articulating that, you know, that culture of connoisseurship. And then Frederick, with his background in business and, you know, go.
He loves numbers.
You know, helps, you know, kind of support, you know, the vision. And it's an ambitious vision, right? I mean, Dominique London isn't simply one store in Belgium, right? I mean, you know what, your first shop was in, you know, 2003, you know, we're talking 22 years later, 30 stores, Europe's largest retailer of Cuban cigars, and one that I think is in fact changing the standard of cigar retail.
Yeah.
You know, what is it that as you look forward, you see Dominique London contributing or kind of, you know, achieving? What is it?
Well, look, Kirby, I want to be, or we want to be, the biggest retailer in the world. But it's not about selling cigars.
Yeah.
It's about teaching people and to put their love also into the cigars. And they must, if they come in our stores, they must have a unique, let's say, a revelation.
Yeah.
And expectation as well, that they know the world of cigars, because it's such a nice world.
Yeah,
it brings people closer to each other.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you know, I often joke that if more diplomacy was done over cigars, the world would be a peaceful place. And I say that, you know, really in a way of just trying to articulate how, you know, this tobacco, right, which is a sacred plant that, you know, is so much a part of Cuban history prior to even Christopher Columbus, you know, discovering the Americas. You know, there's a spirit here that softens the heart, opens it, creates relationships, focuses thoughts. I mean, there is nothing in my life that creates as much beauty and wealth and pleasure as smoking a cigar.
But I think also the Indians were here before us.
No, absolutely, yeah.
And they put already the spirit of the cigars.
Absolutely.
Because when Christopher Columbus came here at shore, he saw those Indians with the big things, the guava, the guava, and the lightning, tobacco. And already they were sharing it with the people who come from,
Yeah, it was a sacred plant.
Yeah, and there is a magic in this plant.
It really is.
And did you know, Kirby, everybody says, oh, tobacco, they're against it and whatever. But I always say to people, look, it's a plant. And it is a medical plant, in fact, because when people in those times in Spain and even in Belgium had migraines, they put tobacco to the people. And when they had syphilis, they put tobacco plants to the people. But that nobody tells. So for some people, tobacco is like a devil. Yeah. But it's also something really helpful, I think.
Well, I think in its purest expression, which is what you find in a Cuban cigar. And one of the other things that I think is quite important, I mean, of course, you know, you love cigars. I mean, it is a true passion of yours in the most authentic, innate sense. And, you know, of course, your desire to grow Dominique London is really, I think, as you said, not about just growing your business, but about sharing that passion with as many people as possible. But you also have an aesthetic position, an opinion on how cigars should be enjoyed that I think is very much a part of the way Dominique London is seeking to elevate the trade.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I know you have some very exciting projects planned for this year.
Yeah.
That I think are going to be, you know, very groundbreaking, you know, even in Europe, a country, you know, for which the tradition of Cuban cigars dates back, you know, centuries.
Yeah.
You know, Dominique London is still able to innovate within that and elevate the entire tobacco culture.
Yes, look, we have our shops, of course. And now we will open up in June of this year the Monte Carlo Cigar Club, who will be unique because I think a place to meet each other and to discover those beautiful pieces of art is the perfect setting in Monte Carlo, where people are, less stressed, because people who are on holiday or who are enjoying the good life, they have more time, they have more passion for it. And I think with this club, who will be famous, it's in the casino. Did you know that?
Amazing. No, really.
Yeah, with the big
in the
cameras.
Casino de Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to opening up this club, who will be unique in all his forms, because being a member of this club will be very unique in they will feel they are special.
Yeah.
When you come in, the way that you will be received, that you will be helped. We have exquisite wines and rums and whatever. And then all those beautiful cigars in an environment where you have the sea, where you have the place, La Place du Casino, and where you see all those beautiful cars.
Yeah.
I think it's a setting who is AAA.
Yeah. I can't think of a more,
Exciting
plus and exciting place.
and the good weather on top of it.
And what's interesting again is that, you'd think Monte Carlo, of course there are cigar lounges, but there's not. No one's been able to do anything.
No, but we have the beautiful support of SBM, of course, and they were open to it. My husband worked really hard on this project.
Yeah, how long did that take? I think Frederick was saying something like years.
Yeah, well, I will say it's 10 years already we're working on it. So the last 3 years, it was a big evolution. And we will open up now in June. So it's a beautiful old historical building. And you have it all together there. All the elements that you need to enjoy a beautiful cigar with nice people, you have it there.
Yeah.
It's all there. It's like,
Yeah. It's like the zenith of, the cigar experience.
Yeah.
Well, I hope to have the privilege one day of joining you at Monte Carlo. I often, joke that, since the beginning days of the channel, we always said that if we hit 1 million subscribers, we go to Monte Carlo. So, maybe this will come sooner than later.
It will come.
Dominique, thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here with you in Cuba, of course, during the Habanos Festival. And one of the things that I love so much about this week is the opportunity to meet so many impassioned connoisseurs and collectors of Cuban cigars. And in many cases, we only see each other here once a year. We've had the privilege, of course, of spending time in London, but I feel like, the time we've had over a cigar in London has allowed me to, get to know you, your story, and your passion for this incredible product even more. So, thank you for everything you do. Thank you for sharing your passion with so many. And thank you for really advocating for Cuba, the Cuban people, Cuban culture, and of course, their incredible Habanos cigars. Dominique, cheers.
Cheers, Kirby.